what's up all you Tabaholics? This is Paul here, aka Paulabusa, back with another video. That's right guys, today is another episode of Perf or Curse, and today we are going to look at the QWK Challenger MK3, and here it is. Yes, an absolutely gorgeous blaster. It is beautifully designed, and when this came out, I went ahead, applied the permit and purchased it in Taobao itself. However, the wait took so long, I cancelled my order, and this is a set from Chuck. Shout out to Chuck for loaning me this for the review, and we're gonna go in depth into the blaster review itself. Let's go. So my friend customized this piece with a decal, and originally it's supposed to be a translucent kind of a black casing where you can see the internal slightly, but it's got a decal on it, and this is something like a snake scale or something. And as you can see, even without the decals, it's beautifully designed, a sci-fi style blaster. Now this blaster is quite a small profile blaster, and that's what I like about the MK3. I have never liked big bulky blasters, and this size is really nice. It's beautifully designed, and that's why I placed my order when it came out. Now why there are so much interest in this blaster is really because it is unlike your usual springers or flywheelers that have come out. This is an AEG, it stands for automatic electric gun. We try to prevent the use of gun in the community, and we call them blasters. So actually it should be an AEB. What it means is actually there are gears to push the plunger backwards to catch it and then fire off. So it's an electric springer per se. However, because of the travel, you know, the gears move the plunger back. The fire rate might be a bit slower than all or most of the flywheels out there. To demonstrate an example, here's how an FDL fires at full ROF. And here's how the MK3 fires at full automatic. So you can see that the rate of fire is actually quite slow than the usual flywheel blaster, but that does not necessarily means that it's a bad thing. So for me, actually I prefer a slower rate of fire because it helps me to conserve my ammo better, and I'm particularly happy with the MK3 rate of fire because I'm actually able to put it at full auto and fire single shot at a time. Here's how it goes. As per using my finger, I can press once, press twice, press 3 times, and it goes. There is really no need to set it to single fire. I can put it at full auto all the way. So all you have to do adjusting the rate of fire is by this button here, and this is off, this is single fire, burst, which fires 3 shots at a time, and then full auto. However, this is also one of the parts that I really do not like about this blaster. There's a switch and there is a button attaching to it. It doesn't come glued to the switch, and you have to manually attach it on, and this thing keeps falling off. It is so easy to lose this thing in battle. You really need to super glue it down, okay? So like all things electrical, it needs a battery, and this is the battery compartment. And if you can see here, regardless whether the blaster is on or off, it will blink to remind you that the battery is connected. So to access the battery compartment, all you need to do is remove this pin here and this pin here. The cover goes off. That's where you access your battery. It's here, and it's connected by an XT30. So the battery compartment has a strap to secure the battery, and this comes with a 1100 milliampere battery, 40C, 11.1 volts. Definitely more than enough to last you a full game. So one more thing, if the battery is low, right, it will beep. This beeping means the battery is low. This is the full assembly that you see here, and it has a metal cover. The build quality of this is really amazing. It feels solid, it feels sturdy. With the top cover removed, you can actually remove this front piece, and as you can see here, it uses an innovative bearing scar, and the barrel length is about 21 centimeters. attaching to the sparing scar. And this is one of the technology that I have not seen only until recently, that everybody is starting to use bearing scar. I bought a few of these bearing scars available in the market, and I'm going to do a review of it shortly. The operation is actually pretty simple. Like a Springer, you need to deprime the blaster, and because it's automatic, the first shot when you load in a magazine, it's always going to be a blank. So all you need to do is really to switch it on, insert the magazine, then fire off one blank, which will not have anything. You will load it, right, and then it will start to fire. Alright, and it's pretty simple as that. So after it has fired, all you need to do to deprime is just to put it to off, press on the trigger, put it to on again, and then it will deprime. Now as you can see, because it's an AEG, it works like a Springer. The grouping of the shots are pretty close, and you can get fairly accurate with this sort of AEG blasters. And the other thing I really like about the blaster is the feel of the blaster. It feels sturdy, it feels like a quality build, and when you shoot it, it actually gives you that recoil that you want. It feels like a firearm that you're firing because of the recoil, and the feel of it is really great. Just like this, the feeling is fantastic. You get this bolt handle here, and it moves when you fire, right? It moves when you fire, and the feeling is fantastic. And it really operates like a real firearm. When you fire off that last shot, the bolt opens up and you can see the empty magazine. So it tells you when the last round is fired and time for you to change the magazine. And to change the magazine is fairly easy. It's gravity drop. All you have to do is press this button here, and it releases the magazine. And with that, you'll be able to slot in the magazine. It's only one-sided, so left-handers, this may be a problem, but for me, I don't see any issue because it's comfortable here. I've never accidentally released the magazine before. All I need to do is actually use this area to press and release. So I don't mind it one side instead of both sides. You see, it works fairly well for me. I can use my finger to release it without any issue at all. So once it's empty, you just need to load it in. And then you need to release the bolt carrier, okay? This is one additional step when you run out, okay? You need to release the bolt carrier by pressing on this lever, okay? So once you press it, it closes, it loads the dart, and you're good to go, right? So that's how it works, you know, and just that one additional step to close the bolt carrier, and that's about it. So really, for the looks of the blaster, the size of the blaster, the accuracy and the feel, you know, of using a blaster that feels like a firearm, this thing is really fantastic. So performance wise, I'm getting about 170 FPS, but I know you won't take my word for it, so let's go ahead and fire 5 shots and see how it goes. 174, 165, 170, 165, 166. These are the numbers that we are doing here. 160, 170, no problem at all. Performance is pretty okay in terms of this AEG blaster. Now, one of the things that put me off was really the magazine. It uses a proprietary magazine, and it's different from the Talon Max that you see, and it has a magnet here, you know, where it's needed for it to be operational. At the follower here, you would see a magnet, and this is why it needs to be a proprietary magazine. So the magazine loads about 20 rounds, right? But I would only advise you to load 19 rounds, and this is currently at 19 rounds, right? A lot of people have been facing feeling issue really because of overloading the magazine, right? All you have to do is take out one round from the magazine. You don't have to load 20, and when you load in, it's gonna be just fine. See? Here is what happens when you load a 20th round into the magazine, right? Likelihood the last round is gonna pop out, and that's gonna give you jamming issues, you know, like when you take out from your pouch and you load it, right? You shake it, it comes out. You shake it, it comes out. So that last dart is going to give you issues. So rather than, you know, just squeezing the last dart in for that additional round, you may just want to load 19 rounds. But because it uses a proprietary magazine, right, that really puts me off. I have to buy more magazines and take up additional space in the house. So I probably have to buy another 8 to 10 magazines, and that's gonna cost money, you know. And price is another thing that put me off. We're talking about FDL prices here. The blaster itself with 2 magazines gonna cost you about close to 400 USD with including the shipping. I'm able to get it at 360 US, buying it directly from China, excluding shipping. And you know, with the additional magazines that you're gonna get, this thing can cost up to $500 just for that setup, you know. I'm not gonna spend that kind of money because it does about the same performance as the FDL. And you know, with my Pretty Fly blaster, I'm getting 200 FPS on a flywheeler. This is just 30 short of 200 FPS, and most games have a 200 FPS limit, and this is neither here or there. It's in between 150 and 200, where most games are either at 150 or 200 FPS. So this is in between, and we don't like in between. We like to get as close to that limit as possible. So that sort of put me off. And while we are on that topic, right, because it uses its own proprietary magazine, my mag clips wouldn't be able to be used because I'm using a 3D printed fast mag, and with that, right, it won't fit, it won't hold, you know. And I have to change my clips as well, you know. So I don't want to have to change my whole setup just because I want to use this blaster. I have to get new mags, new belt, new fast mags, and it's gonna cost a lot of money. If you are a new nerfer, right, and you don't have a setup yet, you know, and it's a clean setup you're starting with, right, you can buy this blaster because you will need to buy the belt and the mag holders and the magazines anyway. So you might, if you're starting afresh, this might be something for you, you know. In China, most of the hobbies that uses LiPo batteries are using XT30s. That's why when you go to Taobao and buy LiPos, the default is always XT30. Same for this blaster as well. It uses an XT30 connector, and most of the Singaporean nerfers are using XT60. So with that, right, you need to have a connector like this in order to use your XT60 LiPos. This is a converter from an XT30 to XT60. So you have that hassle as well, right? Last but not least, I don't like the buttstock, right? Everything feels so good on hand, right? But the buttstock is built in such a way that there is this lever here, then you pull it out. There's no way to use one hand to adjust the stock itself. You have to use 2 hands. It has 5 levels of adjustments. However, it is held together by 2 plastic rods, and I'm not comfortable with this. You know, if I drop it, maybe it will break on me. So I would actually suggest users to keep it fully closed if that works for you. The other thing is, there is no sling point on this blaster itself. So if you want to have a secondary weapon, if you don't have a sling point, you probably can only use this portion. I wouldn't trust the top Picatinny because this entire thing is a cover, right? And it's held on by hinges. I'm not too sure whether I will break that top cover if I use the Picatinny as a sling point. So you know, there is really not much of a sling point here unless you use this portion here. So that again turns me off. But mostly it's the cost of the entire setup if I want to use this blaster for walls, because I have to really buy a lot of things. So that puts me off. I cancelled the order, and that's about it. But that's me. If you do have the spare cash and you don't mind buying you know, so many things, mag holders, XT60 LiPos, you may want to get this. But it did for a 160 FPS blaster. I really don't think it justifies that kind of money, so that's why I cancelled the order. But it may be for you. So for the Mark III, I'm gonna say that this is a perf and a curse, and with that, it's somewhere in between. So I don't know if my review helps you, but if you do enjoy the review, give it a thumbs up. This is Paul here, signing off. Ciao.